Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we are going to be doing a fun tutorial on bubblegum bead keychains. Now, if you've never heard of bubblegum beads, oh my gosh, I am obsessed with these. All the colors and options just bring me so much joy. I had so much fun and took an extreme amount of time putting my order together for these beads when planning for this project. I don't know, there's just something about all the bright and beautiful colors that these come in that, I don't know, they bring a smile to my face. So I think this is a fun project that you guys can easily bust out in a day. We're combining them with really cute acrylic blanks and some fun designs for the holidays. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. I had a ton of fun putting these together. So that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we've got a quick commercial break here. I just want to talk to you guys about this new snow teeth whitening system that I got. It's totally wireless and it comes with blue and red light therapy, blue light for teeth whitening and red light for healthy gums. And you also get these 3 teeth whitening serums that come with it. The gold one is like an extra strength one or something. I ended up picking up an extra one just in case, but I probably won't even end up using it for a while. Anyway, it's super simple to do. You just brush the teeth whitening serum on your teeth, pop in that mouthpiece and wait for 10 minutes. Quick brush and you're done. I got great results after just the first use. You guys shop the link down in my description box. It'll really help us out. Alright, so we're first going to start with our acrylic blanks. I've done a few tutorials on these acrylic blanks, so I'm not going to go too far into detail on this. But you're going to get your acrylic blank. I have a lot of sources for these that I like. I will list my favorite one down below. This custom one I got from the Vinyl Cottage shop. She made this for me as a gift. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to prep the side that we're going to put the glitter on first by sanding it real quick, and then I just spray it down with some rubbing alcohol. You don't really have to sand too crazy, just something with a light grit. Sand it really quick and wipe it down. I've got 5 to 7, I think like 7.5 milliliters of epoxy already mixed here, left over from a different project I was working on. And I'm going to cover the top of my epoxy with some glitter. Today I'm using Birthday Cake from Peachy Olive Glitters. And we're just going to pour a little bit. You guys see how much I've got in there in my pot. And then we'll mix it with a stainless steel stir stick that I have. You guys really want to make sure that the glitter is mixed into your epoxy really well so that it evenly distributes onto your blank. You also want to make sure that you don't have too much glitter or too little glitter. Generally, a rule of thumb for me is just enough to cover the top of my epoxy in my medicine cup. And then I'll add a little if I need to as I'm mixing. Just remember, you can always add more, you just can't take away. Then we're going to spread our epoxy onto our blank. My epoxy has been sitting for 5 minutes before I spread it onto the blank, and this is just going to make it a little more manageable for us. I'm using my stir stick to spread it on there, and it's pretty much just like frosting a cookie. Repeated that same exact process for this little circle charm that I wanted to use. I'll have a link for where you can find these charms down below. And again, we're just going to tape it to something stable and spread our glittered epoxy on there. Once I've got these all covered, I'm going to hit them really quick with my torch. You want to be really super careful when you're torching these. If you wanted to use a kitchen butane lighter or a barbecue lighter, that would also work. Also, do not tape your blanks to styrofoam like I did. They should be taped to cardboard. I don't know what I was thinking that day, but whatever. All right, so we're gonna let these dry for 8 to 12 hours, and then I'm gonna flip them over and prep the non-glittered side in the same way that I prepped the other side. So we're just gonna sand them really quick on the non-glittered side, wipe it clean with alcohol, and apply our decal. When you buy these acrylic blanks, the decals will be sent to you sized perfectly for your decal. I've gone over this in other tutorials, but really you'll just open up the file that they come with in Cricut. It's already pre-sized and you just go forward and cut it. So I apply it just like I would any other decal. They are a little tricky to center, but just take your time with it. I don't really have any magic hacks to get the decals on there. I'm sure you could probably find some on YouTube, but I just kind of hold my breath and go for it. Once we've got our decals on there, I'm going to cover the glittered side of my blank with liquid latex. It's going to serve as a barrier to make sure that no excess epoxy seeps onto this other side of the blank when we go to epoxy on the decal side. Alternatively, if anyone around you has latex allergies, you could just use like regular school glue. It'll essentially do the same thing. I just think it's super satisfying to pull off the latex. We're going to flip them over after that latex dries, and I'm going to epoxy over my decals. I'm using this handy little silicone paintbrush tool to really delicately cover that side with the epoxy. And then once I'm done here, I'm going to hit it with my torch really quick and let it dry for 8 to 12 hours. So alternatively, if you guys wanted to make these with UV resin, you definitely can. I just really dislike using UV resin because it smells really bad. It's harder to get a really smooth, glossy finish, and it doesn't cure as hard as regular two-part resin does. I'll put a link down below to the UV resin that I use. And when you're making these, you're just going to pour about 5 to 7 milliliters of it into like a medicine cup. And then I pour a little bit of glitter in there, just enough to cover the top. It's pretty much the same process as using the regular resin. You're just not having to mix part A and part B. Okay, so we're going to spread it onto our blank in the same way. And then we're going to use a UV light to cure the resin. Once we get that resin spread on there, I just like to hit it with my torch really quick. Make sure you do not put too much heat on this resin. It doesn't turn out very well. And then you put your UV light over your blank there. The UV light that I have was really cheap, and it takes me at least 10 minutes to get a hard cure with this UV resin. Drives me nuts. Anyway, once that glitter side is dry, you'll just flip it over and prep and decal this other side, and then cover it with resin and put it back under the UV light. So the benefit of using the UV resin is that you could bust these out really quick. You could do it in a day. I just don't like sitting for a really long period of time from start to finish to get these done. That's kind of why I prefer regular resin, and I like the finish that you get from regular resin a lot better. This 4-leaf clover and heart blank that I got is from Zindy.com. These designs are so cute. I absolutely love them. I did edit the file that came with these blanks. If you guys want me to do a quick tutorial on that, let me know. I know that those can kind of be tricky to work with. So when I go to epoxy this decal side with the UV resin, I just pour it straight from the bottle there and then spread it out with a silicone brush, and then again put it under my UV light for at least 10 minutes, and we're good to go. Okay, now that our blanks are done, I'm going to show you guys how to attach the beads. I've got this 100mm elastic thread in white that I got from Amazon. I'll have a link for it down below. And I'm just going to thread it through an embroidery needle. I'm using one of those little needle assist things to help me out because it is kind of hard to thread the needle with this stuff. For this project, you'll want to make sure that you have about 2 feet of this string. You want to make sure that you have more than enough to work with. And you'll notice I'm threading both ends of that string through my needle so that I have a loop on the bottom. I'm going to thread my string through the hole of my blank, leaving a small length of the loop on the other side, and then I'm going to thread my needle through that loop to create this knot around the hole of my blank. Then with the remaining thread on my needle, we're going to thread 3 of those bubblegum beads. Again, you guys, we're using 20 millimeter or 22 millimeter, I think it's 20 millimeter bubblegum beads that I got from Etsy. And of course, you guys know I'm going to link all the shops that I got these beads from, because I think there's like 4 different shops that I got beads from. And I've already picked out my bead colors ahead of time. I think that's the lengthiest part of this process, was making the decision, because they're all so beautiful. But really, I tried to pick colors that went well with the colors that I chose for my blank. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier. Once we've got the 3 beads threaded on there, I am going to thread my needle through one of these lobster clasp clips here. Okay, so I got my lobster clasp thingy off of one of these keychain setups that I have. I have a lot of these keychain setups that I ordered from AliExpress. You can also find these on Amazon, and I will link them down below. And we're just going to remove that lobster claw clasp from the keychain assembly. If you don't want to use the same kind of lobster clasp, you totally don't have to. There's a ton of different ones out there. I just really like the look of this one, and I wanted it to go with an actual keychain. All right, so we're going to thread the needle through the hole of that lobster claw clasp, and we'll circle back down around and go through the top of that first bead, all the while holding tension on our string there. You want to try and keep tight tension through this whole thing. So we pull it down through the top of that first bead there, and then we're going to make a loop with our hands and go around and through the loop. So we're going to make a little loopy with our hands and go around the string there and go through that little loop. Okay, and this is just going to kind of anchor everything down while we're preparing to knot our thread. After you do that little loop-de-loop, you're going to pull it as tight as you possibly can without ripping your string, obviously. You want to look out for like total tension through the whole thing so that it's not saggy. You don't want your keychain to be saggy on this string, okay? So just keep pulling until it's taut. And then once we have it tight enough, we're going to tie a simple knot. I first like to get out all of these twists here. So like I untwist my line, remove your needle, and do a simple over and under knot, kind of like the first step of tying your shoes. Okay, so simple over and under, and pull as tight as you can. All right, and then once we've got that knot tightened as tight as we can, we're going to do our final knot, which is basically left over right to create something like this, then right over left, right over the top of that. So you could see why it's important from the get-go that we had a nice length of string so that we have enough to do this at the end here. If you have nails, this knot might be a little bit tricky for you. It was for me. And then we're just going to pull as tightly as we can, okay? Until we get everything completely tied down. And you'll want to look closely to double check your knot to make sure that it's all compacted into the knot and that there's no loose loopies hanging out. That's how we know for sure that we've got this as tight as we can. Then we're just going to trim our excess. I like to leave about a 1/2 inch or maybe a 1/4 inch left there. And then that, end will just kind of go back into the bead so you won't see it. But that's what we've got there. And then for this little charm, I thought it would be cute to add it to the end of the chain that I have on this keychain assembly. So I'm just using a jump ring to go through the whole of that little charm blank and put it at the end of this little keychain here. And then we will close our jump ring. And this will just add a cute little detail to our keychain. Obviously, you guys don't have to add in this little charm thing. I just think it's such a cute touch. Now, alternatively, if you didn't want to leave it on that keychain loop and you wanted to add it to your lobster claw clasp hole, you could do that too. I just don't want to put a whole lot of excess stuff on that lobster clasp hole so that we're not creating friction on the sides of that elastic string, which could possibly break it down over time. All right, and we're all done. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's the shamrock and the heart ones that we were working on. I love how those turned out. You guys know I love acrylic keychains, so adding the beads to them just makes them that much more fun for me to do. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching my video, and we'll see you again on Saturday. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.